Oop, oop. Brothers and sisters, we made it. We made it. Back again. As it said, is it in red? Unlike the rest of the people who pump fake and take forever to get there to you, I just get right to it. Every once in a while, I have to build it up. But this is, I'm straight to it. My mind, my heart, my soul is saying, do not pick up the Bible. Just talk about what people know in the Bible. Compare how they live to what they know in the Bible, to what they believe, to what's true. And I'm going to give you a prime example. If you believe in a 7-day week, you believe in the Bible. If you believe in 364-day year, you believe in the Bible. If you believe that's the sun in the sky during the day and the moon at night when it does reveal itself, you believe in the Bible. Yeah. If you believe in evolution, yeah, you believe in the Bible. So even if you tell me you don't believe in God, if you adhere to all these things that are only found in the Hebrew Bible, then that means that you inevitably have to, yes, you will capitulate. Whether you will say it out loud, nigga, in your soul, you will fucking say it. Yes, I believe in the Most High God. I just didn't realize I did. Having said that, the Christ speaks 0 words that are antithetical to the laws. Not one. One of my favorite, if not my favorite verse from the Christ, I'm talking about like when he's giving people understanding, is when they come to him and they say this, the Pharisees came to him, right? Trying to catch him up. And was like, this woman, we caught this woman committing adultery, right? Boom, like I say to people. He's saying he without sin cast the first stone, but what I heard was, where's the man at? Where's the man? As opposed to him asking them who's the adulterer. Because you understand, if a man sleeps with a married woman, no matter what, he committed adultery. A married woman has to commit adultery. She fornicates through the act, but she commits adultery no matter what. An adult age male does not commit adultery with a woman that is not married. Right. It's fornication. So it's fornication and adultery when you're grown and married as a woman. It's adultery as a man when you're grown and you're married yourself. But the woman who's married by default makes you an adulterer. Yes. So when the Christ is telling them, he who was without sin cast the first stone, he's saying to them, it's understand that's the base level. If you've never sinned, right, go ahead and throw a stone. He's saying, though, on the real verse, where's the man? Where's the adulterer? Because that would have been the fullness of the law. But why should he have to tell you that? If you know the law, why am I telling you that? If you claim to know this, once again, this is why I don't say anything to pastors. I get why the Christ was like that. Look, when I say, is it in red? If you tell me when in Rome, be like the Romans, is that shit in red? I need to know, is it in red? I'm not going to look it up. You tell me. See, you have all these people who say things, right, that were repeated and regurgitated. And the reason why I picked the Christ and I don't pick Moses is because nothing Moses said is in red to accentuate his force. This is why your bosses write in red and all the other people write in red, and they tell you that you're not supposed to write in red. They say red is supposed to be a correction. Am I lying? That's what I was taught in school growing up. That was the scholarly academic learning that I received. However, when I take a step back and I really gander at it, I say they don't want us to write in red simply because the red that they put in print was to say that this is what the Christ said. So if you were to put it in red, this is for sure, for certain. This is why they use red to correct, because this is for certain. If this is not right, I cross it out and I put the for certain thing there. Mm. See how that works? However, people say that the transliteration is off, messed up. It could be a woman. It could be she and not he. It could be. My pushback is just natural society. Let's look at how people were told to live by one person and then by another, and then let's compare the outcomes. So you have one person who tells you that you should follow the law, keep the commandments, right? He's saying the only good thing is the Father. He's saying to us, when he speaks, he's separating himself from the Father. So all the straight up mentally ill individuals who say that the Holy Spirit, the Most High God, and the Christ are all one, you're completely mistaken. You actually are ill. There's something wrong with you. However, we won't even worry about that. We're just talking about how people live. So if one man says, eat whatever you want, the other man says to keep the law. If you keep the law, you don't eat pork. You don't eat anything coming out the water without scales or fins. Uh, the other guy would have you to eat anything. However, when we look at the people who eat anything and everything, how are they built most of the time compared to people who don't eat any and everything? Mind the fact you have to keep a person's whole life in context when you look at their health. So if you just stop eating swine some years ago and you still look like you might be eating it, right? That means something. You get what I mean? That means something. Now, having said that, I don't sweat nothing. I don't worry about it. I can't. All I can do is relax. But I know this, if I look at one person's life and they eat whatever, they do whatever, and they have this, there's a certain makeup to their life. So if the Christ is telling me, I'm going to give you a prime example. The Christ told me, not Paul, he told me that a man would have trouble in his household. While Paul says a family that prays together stays together. But if one from the city and two from the family shall be saved, and a man's household is broken up or separated, that means that they all won't be there to perish all together. You have to either hope all to live together or you're all going to virtually perish together. The only thing that makes that different is that you're not going to be home at all hours of the day. People believe that when the earth is going to come to an end, they think they're going to be home with their families. You might be totally separated from them with no chance of ever getting back to them. And if you're foolish enough, you're going to die trying to get to them. It's not for you to decide if they live or die. It's up to the Most High God. See, this is why I don't worry about anything. I can't worry. I care to the degree that I do care, but then I really don't care sometimes because all I can do is what I do. I can't make it different. You know what I'm saying? I can do no thing different. When you have people who want you to be mentally weak and fragile, right? You have to remind yourself that once again, they're coming from a point of view that's skewed. They don't believe really what's written, i.e., if Paul tells the people it doesn't matter who you marry, going back to the Christ saying that he believes in the law, right on? So if you believe in the law, that means that you're only supposed to marry the people of your tribe, right? But the actual sub tribe that you're under is who you're supposed to really stay with. So that way you keep your inheritance, generational wealth, as they like to call it. Yeah, so that way it stays within your tribe and it doesn't move about the other tribes. It stays there. The Most High God gave these people, once again, the Christ is saying, if you know this, You guys who think you are saying something new, the reason why that Christ is saying what he says, he's saying the whole time, if you know, you know. Right. If you have ears to hear and eyes to see, can you dig it? If you know, you know. But if you don't and you're trying to figure out what is what, the issue is going to be you accepting what is there. Once again, is it in red? I'm not talking about the Old Testimony. I'm talking about the New Testimony. However, in red, we have the Christ saying he is not here to do away with the law or the prophets. He's actually here to fulfill them and to bring them into total completeness. So if he's here for people to stay with their tribes, if he's here for people to eat with the Most High God, his Father, the Creator of heaven and earth, the ancient head of days, if he's here for him on that level, the only logical thing I can come to is that he is here because his job, his whole soul job, is to remind us of what is right. So when you have an individual like Shaul, whom after the death of the Christ becomes a staple in that latter society, whom after the death of the Christ is called an apostle. The only things in red we see are a couple things, and none of them are doing away with the law. None of them. Do you understand that? Do the people get that part? Do they see and perceive that there is no part wherein which in the brand new, there is no part in which the law is meant to be shirked? In fact, I will contend that the one you call Jeshua, Jesus, the Messiah, the Christ, the anointed one, right? The righteous one, the mighty one of Israel, our Redeemer, him, he said, resist ye not evil. I did not say that, he did. And that's in the same chapter when he says what he says about the law and him being there to fulfill it. And he would say there later on after, if a man smite thee on the cheek, to turn and give to him the other cheek. Right on. And if a man asks for your robe, to give him your cloak too. What I perceived, okay, there's the base level. He's telling you to not resist their evil. He's also telling you not to resist the evil within yourself. So if they smite me on the cheek, I don't think you meant that. Let me see if you really meant that, like I said before, right? Because if they try it again, guess what's going to happen? I'm not going to resist the evil. They're going to get everything they're asking for. So if you want this coat, I'm going to give you the shirt off my back, but I'm going to give you everything you're asking for. Nothing less. This same man I'm speaking on was cited for insurrection. Somebody tell me I'm lying. You know why they're worried about a black Messiah? Because a real black Messiah will ask the people to become insurrectionists, mutinous, rebellious, contradictory. Okay? We will become contrarian by nature. That's who the Christ was. Freedom fighter. By all means, he would be considered a terrorist. This is why I laugh at what they say, because they have no idea what they're reading or who they're talking about. I don't need a witness. I'm the witness because I read it and I believed what I read. More so than not, I would tell people to believe what's on the page, even if you don't agree with it. Belief and agreement are totally different. I didn't say abide by what you see on that page. I said believe that it's there. So if a man is telling you it doesn't matter who you marry, what you eat, and what you do, believe that somebody believes that. believe that he may have said something in line and in tow with that. Understanding that much, is it in red? Meaning, did he get that from the lips of the Christ to give to you? If he did not, if they did not, if she did not, they're already in fallacy. When people talk about the books of Timothy, they talk about the books of Corinthians, Romans, right? Even the Hebrews. I I I, I always try to tell people Paul will say something that is righteous in essence to follow it up with something that is completely unright. Whoever the writers are, it doesn't matter if this guy really existed or not at this point. The fact of the matter is, people abide by what is written in the book on his words and his account. However, some of the most famous churches, right, don't follow what he says or know otherwise. I'm going to give you a prime example. Did you guys know that the Catholic don't consider fish real meat? Did y'all know that? Did y'all know that the Catholics do not consider fish real meat? You know why they don't? Me and an awesome brother of mine, we already had this conversation. He said it's just good eating because fish is not used in any form of sacrifice. However, Catholics are wrong because they'll eat anything out of the water. Right. Doesn't have scales and fins. This is why Lutherans beat them out. This is why Seventh-day Adventists beat them out. Because they know that you're not supposed to eat that stuff. Right. Right. A real Lutheran is nothing like Paul. They don't even believe what he says. They live by the elder testimony, as you call the Old Testament, but which is just the Testament. The whole thing is one story to me. And I get to see where before it's like a movie. When I read the scripture, I see a movie rolling before my eyes. I can't explain it. You'd have to be of the same or like faith to get what I'm saying. And when I read the scripture, I see this movie unravel before my eyes. I see this awesome introduction that we have no idea plays into the latter part, the greatest parts of which is right now to this day. And we can't put the whole thing together because we have too many people who are against the idea that even though they capitulate, there are 7 days in a week, 30 days in the month, 364 days in the year. They capitulate these things that is the sun in the sky and the moon, that is water above us because it rains, and there was water below us to collect it. They agree that the scripture says that there is a circle of the earth, but the earth itself does not say as a circle. So they understand that when they talk about what you call evaporation and it floating, is this actually a force field that keeps all these things in tow. I don't want to talk about abysses or deep level drains that go to only the most high God knows where, right on, that are plugged up, that if they're unplugged, they anyway, problems. Problems. People have no idea. That's why they've never been everywhere on this earth, because they're afraid to fall into an abyss. That's neither here nor there. These individuals would have you to believe that even though they capitulate and surrender, that they believe these things to be true. And if nothing else, they allow them to govern their life. One moment. They can say whatever they want to say about one culture influencing one thing or the other. The truth is this: they surrender to this in particular belief. I don't care what you call the months. There's 12 of them, just like there is in the scripture. And you have 1 month with 28 days, 29 sometimes, because in the same book called the Book of Enoch, it is written that the moon has lesser days than the sun, and she has months that are of 28 days and 29 days. You'd have to read to know that. Once again, if you know, you know. This is why the Christ said everything that he said. Yeah, right. Because you'd have to know all these things to understand what he's talking about. This is the difference between me and your so-called preachers who are asking you. I'm not asking you for anything other than that you give in and surrender to the Most High God before it's too late. That's it. That you realize that he brought you here, that you didn't bring you here. You did the work, but you didn't bring you here. Can you dig that? You did not get you here. Somebody else did. Something else gets you here. It's a real life frequency. Most people can't accept it. Oh, I worked this hard and you still don't have what you deserve, but you have just enough somehow. The others who won't do the work don't have anything, and they need you more than ever because they need to see that there's hope in trying. At least you put forth the effort and the attempt to make things better for yourself. Sometimes you come up short, sometimes you come up big, sometimes everything stays the same. These are the cycles of life, but they are cycles that are put upon us by the greatest structure and the greatest being to exist. The only one that will outlive and outstand and out everything, outreach time or whatever you consider time to be itself. Maybe he's a new construct, something better than time that a man's mind cannot conceive. Right. Even put into that's the best way I could put it. Something better than time. Yeah. But how could they imagine anything other than what they've been known their whole life? You do not know. This is a short life and a long life, all at that. It seems like yesterday I was 5 years old, and now here I am supposed to be 33. It seems like yesterday I couldn't wait to be grown. And now I just yearn for a time much simpler, as all people do. So, anyone of a sound mind would love for things to be simple when you just knew things were just different. However, this is the cycle of life. And for you to live and to see it and to not think that there's a construct or a purpose to it is an insult to the very existence that you live in. So to tell people things such as teach no other doctrine, quote, and then to say it after the Christ had told the people in red, beware of the leaven or the leaven of the Sadducees and the Pharisees. And the disciples, what? They thought what? They thought he was talking about bread. And when he perceived that they did not understand, he said what he said, yo, beware of their doctrines. So for an individual to go, once again, not in red, but out of his own mouth and tell us to teach no other doctrine. Yet, if he knew, he would have known. But y'all got to understand, the Christ's words had not been published yet. This is why Paul says everything in contradictory to the scripture. Y'all need to understand this is 12 years later. The New Testimony or whatever y'all think it is has not been devised yet. This shit is all happening. It's moving as it's history in the making. Okay? It's like right now. It's like if you compared when Obama was in office, right, till now, right? You would get there's a difference. We've seen history be made. Okay? But some of the things that are going to come out, if this ever remembered, right, are going to be things that expose greater what was happening. So for the Christ to have said what he said, and for him to have had the scribes and recorders and clerks who would keep document of these things, once again, you guys think the shit that you're doing is new. It's not. Nigga, a vlogger is not new. Understand, how many people do you see walking around with their phone trying to go viral and all that shit, right? Okay, these were the things that people kept. So if you was doing something and somebody thought that you were doing something epic, they're gonna come and record that shit. They can record it however they feel like, yo. People forget that. This whole taking a video of yourself or trying to document each moment, you had one life. It was an adventure. That's it. This is why people like to adventure to this very day. It's not you're not a grown up just because you surrendered to a job. Right on, you're responsible because you may be in charge of other lives other than your own. That's a responsibility. Right. That doesn't make you more adult than the people who adventure. It means that you have to be more responsible. That doesn't make you an adult. Word? A drug dealer that brings in metric tons is more responsible than a nigga that sells dime bags. Does that make him a good person? No, but it makes him more responsible. So when you try to compare yourself or try to put yourself above or different or outside the range of somebody you feel like, well, they don't have to do it. No shit, they don't. Right. Because everybody's life is different. But the recorder, they felt like this is my job to make sure that somebody hears this story. So the fact that the story survived this long, right? Doesn't matter how they adulterated it, how they bastardized it. It doesn't matter. Is it in red? Nope. Okay, then. That's how serious we'll take that from the New Testimony. Everybody who knows me knows my favorite book in the entire New Testament is the book of Jude. Anybody who knows me knows that. That's a fact. It's the single-handed greatest chapter book in the entire New Testament. Hands down. Nothing in it is in red though. So but nothing in it goes against what is already written. There's some things that are revealed to us, like a battle over the dominion or the control or the possession of Moses's deceased body, right? I didn't know Michael had to go up there and contend. Right. I think it's Michael. I think that's the angel who went up and contended. I'm not going to pick up the scripture to verify, vindicate, or validate that. I'm just saying, I know there was an angel that contended with the devil or Satan, whoever they said, an evil force over the possession of Moses' body. Right on? And people are like, that's not anywhere in the Old Testament. Okay, well, we don't know what happened to his body. You don't know what happened. Right. We weren't there. So for there to be information that wasn't told to us is natural. However, what was revealed to us does not go against anything that we know. It doesn't change the nature of the law. Nothing said in the book of Jude changes anything. However, if I have to discard all of the New Testimony, save for what's written in red, then what I have to do is go to the book of Revelations and then see the book of Revelations for what it is. It's a book, like I told y'all, put together based upon different prophecies. But these are guys taking them and telling us whatever. Again, this is from a dead man's, I don't know. John the Baptist got his head cut off. Make it make sense. Thank you. So when I talk about when the Christ was alive in red, I'm talking about just those four books: Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. I don't care about the book of Acts and what little red there is. That don't matter to me. If you want to consider it, nothing it says goes against the baseline law. They may take from other prophecies, but it doesn't. The book of Enoch has a new heaven and a new earth in it. Right. So I'm supposed to say that a dude named John the Baptist seen something that would no, stop it. I don't have to believe that. That shit is fake. Revelations is a fake ass book. How much of it is in red? This is all beat down Bible right here. I got these old ones. I got these old ones. Ooh. I mean, I got so much stuff in it. It has a look. Chapter 1 from verse 11. After that to verse 17, but chapter 2 and 3 all read. After that, now listen. But these are angels and stuff like that. I'm saying this is supposed to be what it is. Again, nothing that's written in red is going to challenge the law. It doesn't challenge the law. What it does is makes people see things from a. I ask people, where's the original Philadelphia at? Nobody has an answer to that. Right. They're saying that the churches that were started, where are those where are the churches in those areas? That's what I push back on. People don't want to hear that. Those churches should be identified easily. They should be famous churches in the world. They're not. They're not even considered those places. They have speculation, but there's no facts. My point being this: what the Christ says, when he's alive, in red, matters more than anything else that's in red. Period. When it's actually him. Now, the fact that I have to verify that and vindicate and validate, niggas, please think about what I'm saying. The man, the man can't be proven to be present and available. The spirit can't even be proven to be present and available at those times. I'm not a fool to think and to say what I say. I know what I'm saying makes people uncomfortable because they're not used to having to think. Does that make sense? They're not used to it. They're not used to having to actually put their noggin to work. I knew Revelations had stuff in red, but I knew there was a chunk that had it in. And even then, once again, not to it's those things do not undermine the law. They don't tell you to stop living a certain way. It does not tell you to stop living under the law. It does not. It does not. Whenever you get done talking, nothing in red undoes the law. Nothing. That's my whole point. Is it in red? Right. And I don't want to get to nitpicking about what I do and don't believe is true in red. What I believe doesn't matter. But what I know to be the facts are the facts, and you cannot change them just because you don't want them to fit you. Facts. Find something in red that undoes the law, that actually openly challenges the law, the eternal law. Find it. Show it to me. Put it in the comment section type of stuff. You won't find anything in red. You won't. What you'll find are things that you think you think are against the law. The Christ never said the law is dead. Never, not once. Never did he say that. Paul said that the law is dead. Only to go back and double down and say what he thought about the law. But the problem with Paul is this right here, once again. Who are you to challenge the law? Who are you? Who are you? You're nobody to challenge the law. Thank you. See, how can Jeroboam lead Israel to sin a great sin, but Paul not be doing worse by telling you that nothing is wrong with how you live? Oh, they didn't believe it. The people believed in the Most High God. They just didn't honor and worship him like they were supposed to. He's merciful and all forgiving. So even if I sidestep and I do something out of line, he gonna forgive me. That's the idea. That's some sucker. That's a suck ass way to think, man. That's some sucker shit, man. Now look at you, thousands of years later, from people who thought like that, and to this day, you won't correct that mentality. You'll forgive eating shrimp and grits, shrimp and eggs, or whatever in the morning. Eating crab cakes and lobster. Oh, that's okay. Eating oysters and all that nasty shit that you ain't supposed to be eating. Eating pork chops and shit. You know you ain't supposed to be eating that. Yet you do it anyway. Right on? Right. Niggas like, but meat, you eat catfish here and there. Nigga, I sure will have a little motherfucking piece of catfish here and there. If that's all there is to eat, nigga offer it to me. His ass is hot sauced up and put on a piece of bread. But I know I'm not supposed to do that, but I'm not going out of my way to do that. You have niggas who actively go out their way to do the shit that I'm talking about. Right on? I ain't too good. I'm not too good. Nope. Not too good for that. I ain't listen, there's a whole bunch of fishes I'm gonna pick because I live in the Northwest way well before I get some catfish. But if I ain't had none in like a year or two, and I'll take a little piece of that. I I know me though. I know I'm not supposed to do that, but I don't willfully go out of my way. It's typically offered to me, right on. And I don't go out of my way to tell people no. If I know I ain't ate shit all day, I'm like, I'll just fast tomorrow. Won't eat nothing. But that's me knowing the law. Right on. They're like, but you're not supposed to break the law. Once again, if I'm gonna transgress and I know knowing the law, once again, it's better that you fear the Lord, right? And not know the law than to know the law and transgress it. That's fine. That's fine. But you fearing the Lord is not going to get you out of hellfire. See what I'm saying? I know when to repent. You don't. For those who don't believe in knowing what the law is supposed to be. If you know when to repent and how to repent, you're going to do what you're supposed to do. Would you actually cook a whole bird for the Most High God and burn it up for him? No. You got that kind of inclination in you? Will you really cook off the fat of the meat and let it cook in the pan and cook down till it's nothing for him? You really going to do that? You really have that kind of heart to do that? You have the heart to waste 25, $30 on a God that you can't see, on a God that you can't really physically hear like that, can't touch like that? You going to do that? You have the heart and the gumption for that? You have the heart and the gumption to pour out, expensive beer and expensive liquor all over the ground for the living God? You have the heart to do that? Because if it's not in you to do these types of things, you'll never make right with him. Ever. Never. How could you? You're not willing to give nothing up but your fucking lip service, nigga. And what is lip service worth? That's right, a big old donut. Nothing. Goose egg. Zero. Am I tripping? How much is your lip service worth when your babies are hungry, need to eat? You think they want to hear that bullshit about what you're gonna do, what you might do? No, nigga, they need some tangible results right here, right now. Show me that you're actually the steward over me and not just someone who was lusting after flesh. Show me that you understand the dynamic of responsibility and accountability for one's action. Yeah. Shaul is the reason why there were so many people during the Crusades who left bastard babies everywhere. Yeah. Raping women and all that. If he says you can do whatever you want and then just ask for forgiveness, that's it. That's it. I ask for forgiveness. I ask God to forgive me. That means you have to let it go. What sense does that make, y'all? But that's what he was telling people. That's how they was able to commit the atrocities they committed. Still have yet to pay for what they done. This is why their fate and their downfall is going to be so vicious. Yeah. Until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. So that way they get to do everything they thought they wanted to do. Look, they have the whole earth on the brink of destruction. They have the entire earth on the brink of destruction. You know why they talk about trying to bring fire to the earth? Do y'all know why? Because in the book of Enoch, it's written that it would become more hot. Do you know that they want to try to nuke the earth to act like that's an act of God? That's not an act of God. Right on? That's the Gentiles doing what they do. They're going to do something where we need a new earth. The Most High God is going to have reason for to bring a new earth to the earth, to bring new stuff here. Do they understand that when he's going to have certain souls that are burning perpetually in the fire? Yeah. hmm And how I know it's him? See, on the great and terrible day, when the day is over with and people are being rounded up into bodies of water, that's when I know that the time is near. The time is nigh. I just have to be alive to see it. If I'm dead before that happens, it's too bad. All I can hope then for is just mercy and judgment. That's it. But I'm not stupid enough to believe that something that somebody said where there's no red around it is to be taken all so serious. All the stuff in red I don't take extra serious. I believe it's there just because I don't agree with all of it as far as like what I'm seeing because there's no indicators for it right now. Right. That's the kind of shit I'm talking about. You need to be able to see something and understand what they're talking about. So when they call the Christ an insurrectionist, I have to be able to look and say, okay, that's what they were afraid of. They're not afraid of revelations. What's that got to do with a nigga? A so-called black messiah? Not a damn thing. Nothing. That's what. But you know what has to do with a black person? Rising up against the system, fighting tyranny and evil, going against forces of malicious nature. You know what I'm saying? Who have malevolent intent and will towards the people, who may be too meek, too humble, or just unwilling to stand up for themselves. There are none of those things in me where I'm overly meek and I won't stand up for myself, or I'm overly humble and I won't stand up for myself. Those things don't exist in me. That's how you get a slave to stay a slave. They're so meek and they're so humble, they don't challenge anything. What they've been told is what they believe. Yeah, yeah. This is why I don't listen to failures from failed nations. One of the dudes I went to school with, I'm telling y'all, I seen this dude not too long ago, and I ain't seen him since. But I know he listened to some of my videos because he says something that only I've ever heard myself say, which is that give unto Caesar's what is Caesar's, right? and that means pay your taxes. I never heard a pastor ever say that. No pastor, no preacher, nobody other than myself. And then I knew then, like, oh, the nigga might have went back and heard some of my shit. But I didn't take no offense. I didn't, pat myself on the back for it. I just said, okay. But then he said something else like about how, people who from somewhere, they failed. But he didn't take the full context of what I'm saying though. Like, yo, if you were forced to leave because you was doing some dumb shit, nigga, don't tell me about nothing. You can't, because you's a failure. But he took it as anybody from somewhere else failed. I feel like they're from a failed nation. I feel like they abandoned their nation to a certain degree. If you came here and there was no threat of death or nothing like that over you, but if you got to get killed, get the fuck out of there. That there's no need to stay and die. But I'm saying to never give back to those places is whack. But also to siphon from a system that you never gave anything to is also just as whack, if not more whack. I don't care about what this country did to your country. Somebody who lives where you live allowed it to happen. What about that part? I do not care. A lot of those individuals come here thinking that Pauline scripture nonsense. A man that doesn't work doesn't eat. One of the most disrespectful, it is the most dishonorable take by Paul, bar none. I mean, it's even more dishonorable than him saying that that a man should not touch a woman and be like him. If you're telling people to be celibate, I mean that's crazy. Ain't nobody gonna listen to you. But you sound you sound extra stupid to tell me that there'll be no wild carrots, no wild rice, no wild wheat, no nothing. There's nothing to eat. If I'm out there foraging and that is the most ridiculous thing I heard. How do I know this? John the Baptist. Do y'all remember how they found that dude? Looking disheveled, eating locusts and sucking sap from trees type of shit. Right. Nigga was wilding out. He was a wild man. But this was John the Baptist. Right. So how does Paul have a point? And what works did Paul do so that way he could eat? Riddle me that, Batman and Batwoman. See, when you have somebody who's no longer alive and they don't have to stand by their words, and people are living by their words and dying by their words, individuals, so slavery is unjustified then. Having a master over a servant is unjustified. You can't tell slaves to listen to their masters or to fear their masters or obey their masters, and then in one breath, and then also in the other breath, tell us that a man that doesn't work doesn't eat. So if the master doesn't work, he doesn't eat, right? So how can you be the master over me and then be working right next to me? That doesn't work. You're not the master then. You're not the master. You're not. A real master does not have to work side by side with their servants. That's what makes you the master. That's the difference. I don't have to do this. So if I don't have to do this and I willfully choose not to because you're in a servantile position, how does that, once again, I'm using his words, not in red. Make it make sense. Make it make sense that in one sense you can tell me that you have to obey your master, then in another sense you need to work to eat. Can anybody actually equivalate that to something logical other than foolery and fuckery? If you eat anything, and I mean anything and everything, nigga, you don't care about the law. Especially when you do nothing to make right and you just have a bunch of lip service to give. And I'm not trying to hear the lip service. I'm not. Ever. I'm 0% trying to hear your lip service. Don't tell me how sorry you are for fucking up. Do right. Tell me how you're going to do right. That's all I want to hear. How you gonna fix it? And I want to keep hearing you how you gonna fix it. And I want to see you take the active steps to fix it. Not, oh, I'm gonna do what the fuck I want to do, and I'm gonna be a curmudgeon my whole life. If a person come from a failed nation, they were born in a failed nation, left that failed nation, and came to anywhere. It don't matter. Let's just use America because we're here, but I'll say the UK, right? So a dude is from Syria. He goes to the UK. Now over there, it's a little different, but it's a similar concept. Bro, what have y'all done for here other than bellyache about what we did to y'all? But you have people who co-signed you guys' own demise, who were not spies, who were just wicked individual from y'all. They were just evil. They look just like y'all, they talk just like y'all, they act just like y'all, they think just like y'all. But they're the most corrupt. Do not tell me that I'm responsible for their actions. No matter what I do, I'm not responsible for them. They are responsible for themselves. That's the bottom line. So when you have individuals who come from these places that never did anything for themselves, then have the nerve to tell you about how hard of a worker they are or how they know. I don't care how hard you work. I don't. I don't. Because you got niggas working hard in those countries and still not eating. Tell Paul and make it make sense. Tell him. Tell Paul to make it make sense. Make it make sense. How you bust your ass all day, every day, and barely have enough food to feed yourself, let alone to feed your family if you have one. Then you come to a place where everything is in abundance, right? So much so that things that you could never do before, now you're able to do. But they're allowing you to do this on the backs and the shoulders of people who work way harder than you. By default, they have to work harder than you. Yeah. See, if I can hire somebody who doesn't speak English or whatever the dominant language, but we'll use the UK, right? So I run a shop, a bicycle shop. This guy's from Syria. He says he has skills on how to fix stuff. I let him in. He's all right. I show him how I want things done. He's working for less. He's working for scraps and peanuts, right? He's he's working, barely getting enough to. I'm I'm paying this dude with room and board and food and a little money. Yeah, but you got other people, right? Same situation that he's in, only they don't have to work for it. They don't have to do anything for it. They still get theirs. Make it make sense. It can't be made to make sense. Even if you, I mean, you could try to, but there's no logical argument that can be made. This is why the Christ never said nonsense like that. Like I said, going back to the original thing that, like, one of my first points is that he says that he who was without sin cast the first stone, but he's talking about an adulteress. Where is the adulterer? The law says that the adulterer and the adulteress will die the death. Right. So if they're both meant to die the death, she can't be the only one killed right now. Did the Christ say that she didn't think? Did the Christ say he thought she deserved not to be stoned? Did the Christ not? Did he say anything where he thought that she didn't deserve to get what she got? Did he say anything that indicated that she was not an adulteress? Nope. He merely said, if you are without sin, cast the first stone. He shut down their attempt to want to just shed her blood. So then that way they couldn't say, oh, look, he's a man of blood. Maybe they know the law and are short, they're pump faking like that on purpose to try to catch him up. You have to look at the psychology of the times. This is a brother with an afro and a beard telling so-called Jews, the Assyrians, the ones who wouldn't suffer peace in the region, the same ones who won't suffer peace in that region to this day. Those dudes who had assimilated into the culture, okay, by ways of converting. And you had the weak ass priesthood, all right, who led the people, who allowed the people to keep sinning, but they led the people to sin by their ways of being corrupt. The priesthood became corrupt before anyone else went south. The priesthood was corrupt. Can you hear what I'm saying? Before anybody really truly went south, the priesthood was totally viably corrupt. And so, because most people don't look at it like that, they're not seeing it that these individuals that we're reading about are crooked ass niggas and dirty ass wannabe so-called Jews, you know. And I ain't talking about everybody. I'm talking about the dudes who were Jewish, right on, not the people who were considered Jews by trade of their whole nation being broke up, and the only ones who are people try to say Jew is short for Judah, but Benjamin, Judah, Levi, and Simeon are all still there in Judah, in Judea, when this stuff is taking place. So I don't give too much thought to that. There's a reason Paul doesn't say he's a Simeonite, and there's a reason Paul doesn't say he's a Levite. He's from a tribe of individuals who were corrupt by nature. The Benjamites are a corrupt tribe. So even if his father truly was a Benjamite, his mother wasn't. His mother was Roman. Yeah, yeah. And to pile on top of that, his sister, who is the mother of Timothy. Timothy is his blood nephew, by the way, right? His sister is considered a Jewess. A Jewess is a person who's converted in many cases more than not. Not exactly somebody who's actually Jewish. Right. So they might not even have the same father. It's so deep. But it's just showing you the dysfunction. Paul comes from a dysfunctional background. Right on? He's one of those niggas that really don't know who his father is. He's saying this dude is his father, but he looks like this guy. He acts like the guy that he looks like. He doesn't act like the guy who he claims is his father. Right. See what I'm saying? Paul is in that category. And that same individual, once again, is telling people if you don't work, you don't eat. Also, you can eat whatever you want. Also, marry whoever you want. Doesn't matter. How can you be one blood and then be telling people it doesn't matter who you marry? That you wouldn't need to tell me we were one blood, you dumbass nigga. But once again, because people who are mentally ill are reading the Bible, and even more mentally ill individuals are preaching it. This is why you have all these retarded ass niggas running around here now, stupid as hell, and don't know nothing. And I'll school any pastor you go get, Geno Jennings, Pastor Dow, I'll school all those niggas and lay their ass to rest. They will never want to talk about the Bible with me. All they can ever do is lead those motherfucking not even sheep. Okay, because if the Christ said, I came here for the lost sheep of the house of Israel, all these other funny looking individuals, I gives a fuck what they believe in, nigga. They are not the sheep, bro. I'm here for the lost sheep. I'm not here for reprobate bastards who are using the Most High God's name to get money, to get fame, to get sex from women, or none of that weak shit. I'm not here for them. I'm not here for them. I'm here for the people who were seeking out knowledge, who feel empty, and know that there's something greater than what this life we're living is so base and so terrible. People would rather surrender themselves to indigence than to fight for something. That tells you all that you need to know. And for people to try to challenge what the Christ told everyone, base baseline stuff. Like The foes of your foes will be those of your own household. Right. Right. He told people who they were going to be up against. Yet fathers are mad when their sons don't listen. Mothers are mad when their daughters don't listen. And all and all and all and all. And they want to be angry. And they want to be a trite. Did they surrender the most base level thought? Or did they play on some bullshit and come up short? I'm willing to bet the latter. If you tell me you believe in the Christ, that means that you believe that if he says he's not here to abolish the laws or the prophets, tell me in history when all the prophecies of Daniel, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Nehemiah, Malachi, Zechariah, Amos, right? I could keep going. Zephaniah, right? Joel, if I didn't name Joel. Tell me when all the prophecies that they said would take place. Take me to those exact points in history. Show me when they happened. If you cannot do that, sit your monkey ass down and shut up. Do not say another word. Do not say another word. Sit down and shut up because you don't know nothing. Right. Right. You do not go to the doctor's office and let a patient tell you what's wrong with you. That is fucking backwards. That's backwards. I came here to listen to professionals. Right. So if you are somebody who's never read the Bible from cover to cover, and if you have, and you tell me I read the Bible 8 times and you don't know none of the stuff that I'm saying, you are not qualified to speak with me. You're not qualified. Wow, that's how simple that is. And people are like, how can I not be qualified to speak with you? Because you don't know nothing. Why would I want to talk to somebody about something and they don't know anything about it? Why would a mechanic want to tell somebody about pieces on a vehicle in a specific location if people don't even understand the function that it serves? Why would they do that? So there's no need for me to tell somebody who can't even understand that what's written in red is supposed to be from the Christ. Bare minimum, angelic authority, divine authority. Bare minimum. So when you have people who can't even capitulate, they can't respect the situation to say, okay, this stuff that's written in black in this New Testament part of the book, I have to look at differently. It's telling a base story. When I read what's in red, there's something definite about this. Supposed to be. So if what's written in red does not go against the law, that means you're supposed to keep the law. Period, point blank. You want to try to tell people how, once again, the law is dead. So that means that if the law is dead, don't tell me about what Paul said. If what he's saying, I can go back to the law and find it in the law, Paul didn't say it. Paul's not the author of that. Right. For him to say that God is not the author of confusion, and then for him to go on and confuse the people, Paul is not speaking for the Most High God. Understand that. Go find another individual who, when they speak, they create more confusion than they answer questions. The man said endless genealogies and fables that minister questions rather than godly edifying. Stop right there. So if I don't know who your father is and you're claiming to be the people and we're like, you're not the people. Right. Right. Today was a crazy day, right? There was this half-breed dude on the bus. Pretty sure his mother black, daddy white. One of them type of motherfuckers who's conflicted about their identity for sure. And dude was acting a fool. And what was crazy was, like, This old white lady had like confronted him, type of shit. And then that's when I had to get it because I was like, man, I don't want nothing stupid to happen. I'm trying to get to work at this point, right? It's early in the morning. Finally, he not listening to her. I walk up. I'm like, hey, bro, you gotta go. He's as I'm walking up and telling him he has to go, he's grabbing all of his stuff and leaving. There is no confrontation. There is no none of that. Cause he already felt that, bro, if you will get okay, I'll sock you off the bus and get right back on the bus and be like, drive. Tell the bus driver to drive after that and break his nose or whatever. I don't care. I don't care, bro. You want to act a fool, my nigga? I got something for you. You think that guy didn't eat today just because he not working? Right. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. That's not how life works. Just because people don't till the land doesn't mean that food won't grow. It's just a greater chance of it growing and more abundance of it growing if you do certain things that create an environment of cultivation, right on, as opposed to doing nothing and allowing for the parts that would produce naturally to produce. This is the difference. So for me to believe that the earth would produce nothing without anybody doing anything to it, I just have a hard time believing that. I'm just like, I don't believe what this guy's saying. Right. Once again, how can you be a master over a company? You never did any work for the company. You inherited it. You never did any real work in your life. You're telling me that he's not going to eat because he's not working? That's the craziest shit I ever heard. Anybody who preaches that is mentally retarded and ill and needs to be slapped all in their, I mean, slapped in their mouth, hard as fuck. And if they think that they don't need to be slapped, they need to be punched in their mouth, hard as fuck. Chiclets flying down their throat and them shitting them out later, since they want to be stupid. There is no substitute for victory. Obedience is greater than sacrifice. It is better than sacrifice. To obey means you will never have to sacrifice. So if you really care about animals, right, and you only want to do the base level sacrifices for them, that means that you won't be out there sinning to create a circumstance where you have to sacrifice. Right. Like I said, all that lip service is worthless. You can tell them, your lips worship me, but your hearts are far from me. That's not in red. That's that OT. That's that testament. That's that OG testament right there. But I'm saying though, if the Christ didn't come here to abolish that, then that means that your lip service can do nothing for him. So what is Paul talking about with faith? What is faith? Is faith not keeping the law? How can you be faithful and not abide by law? Let that sink in. How can you be faithful and not obey the law? You're married. You tell your wife you love her, but each day you go out and sleep with a different woman who is also married. Not that you're sleeping. I mean, the fact that you claim to really love this woman and you're out here fooling around with different women in the first place, I question how much you really love her. Do you just love the fact that you have some house? You know what? Or right. Do you really believe in your twisted, warped ass mind that you actually love this person? Like, there's some retarded ass motherfuckers out there like that. There's some females out there like that. Tell themselves that they love a man, but every day you're with one of your little high school dudes or some nigga who hit you up in the DMs. And every day somebody else is running through you or whatever, however the situation is working out. But you say you love this person. Right. How does that work? And then Paul is saying all you got to do is ask for forgiveness behind that. Right. What kind of lips? What? Name one person who merely asked for forgiveness from their significant other and took no actions that you know of and was forgiven. All is well, all is good. Who? Name one. Name one in the Bible, though, and more specifically. And if you can't, then that's how much sense you make to tell me anything about this, that, or the third. You cannot be in a situation, say something, and then practice something totally different. And then say, oh, because in my heart, I feel this way. Well, your actions say something else. You say you want a job, but you don't ever apply for jobs. You say you want to work. You get a job, you get the job, you apply for the job, you went to the interview, they say you got the job, but then you don't want to show up. You say you want to get paid. But when the opportunity arises for you to get paid, you have an excuse for the reason why you shouldn't engage yourself. See, faith without works is dead, James said, right? And to a larger degree, I agree with that. There's some things I would push back on because the Most High God said that He will provide everything you need. And you really don't even have to ask for it. He will provide it for you. So if you really truly believe and really truly believe, if you really truly believe, you will put yourself in the places you will just be around and God will bless you with what you need. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. That being said, if you believe that you want something more than just God providing your base level desires, and you would like for Him to give you more out of this life, and you know that that requires for you to engage and to incorporate yourself in things that you may not normally do, i.e., working for a living, then that means that you understand that when you have something to show for what you've been doing, those are the works of your faith. Give y'all a prime example. If somebody tells you that they think that the Bible's a myth, allegory, right? Legend, but they never have any money, they never have nothing, but you always helping them out. You find yourself helping them way more than they're ever going to help you. Who are they to tell you anything? Right on? Based on what you believe, you never have anything. So who are you to tell me anything? You never have nothing based on what you believe. Think about what I'm saying. If you have nothing based on what you believe, that means that what you believe is a dead faith. Yeah. Yeah. See, people talk bad, right? I was watching Hercules the other day, man. It was a deep concept. Hercules and the something, man. Was I forget what adventure he was on, but Kevin Sorbo playing Hercules, and I forget, but he saves the little white chick, and there's a part where they're amongst these slaves, right? And she's talking wild and reckless, like oh yeah, she's talking reckless, like. And there's a part where she's telling the slave, like, oh, don't you know that you don't have to be a slave? And he's like, something. He rebuttals something. They bring the food, and she starts eating crazy. And he's like, when's the last time you ate? Mind you, the dude talking to her is a slave. He's like, when's the last time you ate? Right? He's like, well, as a slave, I get 3 hots in the cot. Now they're playing on words, but he's saying, as a slave, I have quarters and I have meals. And look at you, you're not a slave and you're barely right. You're starving. You see what I'm saying? So now, long story short story shorter, dude he feels like Hercules looks out for him later. He feels like he owes it to Hercules, Hercules is like, I don't need a slave. He's like, you know what? If you're really my slave, go back and serve the master you were just serving. And the dude is such a slave. He's like, really? All he knows is servitude. He knows nothing else. I said that to say this. That slave has works by his faith because he believes that, okay, if I just be a slave, at least I'll have this. As opposed to somebody who you don't believe in being a slave, but what do you have? Mind the fact this same female was ready and willing sacrifice so that way they could try to bring back crops from the so-called, because this water god hadn't rain god hadn't given them nothing. And Hercules is telling them the gods are not going to help you. He didn't tell them that the gods are not real. He said the gods are not going to help you. This is deep. Now, this isn't the Most High God. These are just pantheon gods, demigods, angels who are fallen and their children. And what he's illustrating is that these beings have no intent to get involved in your life. So you have to do it for yourself. So once again, if Paul is saying that you have to go out there and get it, that's one thing. But that's not what he's saying, though. He said, a man that does not work does not eat. Then told the same people that if you're a slave, to obey your masters. So if the master doesn't work, but he's eating, how does that, once again, how that does not marry up? It does not marry up. Right. You cannot have one man saying, ask and thou shalt receive. Okay? You cannot. You cannot. You cannot have that. Right on? And then have somebody else go and say he's a representative of said individual, and he's telling you you have to work to get something. Faith without works is dead. So if you ask and you receive, that shows me that you have the works of your faith are real. You didn't do anything, and yet you got something for it. So that tells me what you believe in is real. But if you have nothing, and you're telling me you have faith, that means that your faith is dead. I don't know what your faith is, but it's not like his or hers, because they're in the same situation, yet they have something. And we're not talking about today, we're talking about back then. And if we had to translate it to today, let's look at a homeless person. This homeless person has a tent, has a couple sleeping bags, might even have a couple of nice little pallets to have their stuff set up on so they can keep off the cold ground at night, right? They have a barrel or a grill to cook their food on, right? They have things. This other person is just living on the streets. They're the same ethnic and same nationality, right on? Grew up in the same neighborhood. They're both homeless, but this homeless person, right? Through their faith, you can see their works. This other person is saying what they don't. Okay, you don't have any faith. And look at your works. You have nothing. That tells me all I need to know. It's unfortunate that you have so many individuals who want to attack the Christ and the Most High God, as opposed to just defending what they believe in. Let me give you a really good example of this. People talk about how the Bible copied was stolen from Egypt. Okay, show me the books that vindicate, validate, and verify your claim. Show me the books. The books. Just name the ancient books that make that real. Otherwise than that, you full of shit. Right. Show me the other books that mention other gods. I need to see them. I have to see them. Show me those books. Right. Where it actually it acknowledges the existence of other so-called deities while claiming to be the truest ultimate. And it cannot be a subsidiary faith, meaning Islam is a subsidiary faith. Judaism is a subsidiary faith to the Hebrew Bible. Yeah, it's subsidiary. It's based upon it. It's not a standalone thing. The Talmud was not written until 1000 Common Era. Right on? The Quran, what you consider the Quran. Right. Think about this. Muhammad was said to be alive in 515, 535 Common Era, right? There is no verification, right? That their faith was existed before this. So what I'm saying is that when people try to say that, oh, Muhammad is in the Bible, he couldn't be, because anybody you're talking about would have been, well, we're talking hundreds, if not 1,000 years or better, before he even was even existing. So he cannot be in the Bible. He's not, because when the Bible's ending, right, we're still not in the Common Era. Let that sink in. Right, we're still not in the Common Era. Thank you. So when you really look at it, right on, you have to look at it and say, okay, if we're not Common Era yet, and even if we were, we're talking 50 Common Era or AD, right on, 60 AD type of stuff. I don't even think that though. I'm thinking this shit is really before Common Era, BCE. So if it's like that, now we're looking at it from a whole nother perspective. This shit is hundreds of years removed from these individuals. And they've had so much time to convolute and change the story that, how does this sound to y'all? Individuals who you cannot even prove, or even the people that are being talked about, are saying that individuals who kept the faith misinterpreted the scripture wrong the entire time. Mind the fact that they're saying that Ishmael is chosen over Isaac, even though Isaac has two Semitic parents of the same tribe. Right. His parents are brother and sister, if it matters to people, through their father. Yeah. Right. Whereas the people who claim to be the seed of Ishmael and not Isaac, they're saying that their mother is a Hamite or a Kimite, an Egyptian. Right. Why is that so mysterious to Demetrius? And I'm like, bro, make it make sense. Okay, Joseph got confused for being an Egyptian, right? So that means that Joseph looked like the Egyptians did at whatever time he was there. That means that, how could y'all say that you're like these people when you still don't even look just like the people who are still in those lands? Not all of them. So how could you even still be these people? That claim falls flat on his face. However, furthermore, the idea that they would tell you that they're of the original faith and everything they say is against the law. So the law says to circumcise your sons 8 days, right on? Their law says 14 years. Do you know what could happen in 14? You might not even live to be 14. So technically, a lot of these individuals are cut off from the Most High God and his promise, even if they really were the people, for 14 years. There's no way that makes sense. The Most High God is like, all you have to do is live a whole week, get cleaned up, and if something were to happen to you, guess what? I got you. You're mine. Thank you. That's the Most High God. He is a blessing. He is a true blessing. These other individuals are so lost that they'll tell you things like, you don't need to circumcise your children. That did. Look at the people who was in the Bible. Some of them, a lot of them was circumcised. No, they weren't. All of them were not circumcised. That was a part. That's a part of the problem that they were having. Remember what the Christ said. I didn't say it. This is in red if you don't believe me. You would kill me for making a man whole on the Sabbath. He's talking about circumcising. Come on. Did he say making the man half whole, three quarters whole, five, six whole, seven, eighths whole? No, he said, you would kill me for making a man whole on the Sabbath because you're not supposed to commit any works. But what's more important? The fact that this man be made whole because he should have been made whole day eight, or the fact that I will I will do something on the Sabbath because this should have been done before. There's a reason why it's day eight and not day seven. Because right, the seventh day is what? Thank you. Thank you. But he's saying this should have been done umpteen years ago. So I'm gonna do it now and make it right. Because you might not live past today. What about that part, y'all? You might not get through the day. The Christ is a pragmatist. However, the individuals who would tell you that being circumcised does not matter are the same people who think that eating pork doesn't matter. Very rarely do you find people who are like, oh, you don't need to be circumcised, but also I don't eat pork. It's so rare. It's so rare. And even those guys know they're supposed to be circumcised. So for you to have somebody telling you, doesn't matter if you're circumcised or not, doesn't matter what you eat, doesn't matter who you're married to, but then you're like, okay, bro, but why does Jesus say something different? And then he's like, oh, but this man said this, but this dude's not the Christ. Is that in red? Is what you're saying in red? Show me in Revelations where it says to ditch the law. The law is dead. In red. Show it to me. Show it to me when Paul says that the law is dead, that is dead in red. Show it. Make, show me that. You can't. It does not exist. And that is why I have to go so hard about this. Didn't need to share the screen today. I just needed to talk to my people and make the point known. There is a issue. There is an issue, and not just the black community, but in the community of so-called believers where they tell themselves things that are not true. Nigga, if you're getting a check from the United States government because you shed blood for them years ago, and they owe you, right, because you shed blood for them, that's, if you're getting a check because the military said you're crazy or you got hurt permanently here, right on? Like, that's for you only. That doesn't benefit everybody. You follow what I'm saying? If God blesses a man with great wealth and great everything, chances are he has servants and all that. He, a real king is a king maker. A real king makes other kings. It's no, you are not a king. You are not a king. You are not even of the royal order if you cannot try to put somebody in the position that you were in and do your damnedest to see it done. That's what made Abraham wanted to see Lot be a king so badly, to be kingly so badly. He was like, okay, look, nephew, break off from me. Go do your thing. Right on. You choose whatever you want. I'll take whatever is left. Right? And Lot peered out and looked out. And this was back when everything was plush and lush and green and vegetation everywhere and produce everywhere and animals frolicking around doing whatever they do. And he's like, I want that piece. And Abraham was like, it's yours. It's you. Right on. But did Lot do what he could have done? No. Was he wicked and evil or something like that? No. But Lot wasn't circumcised either. Yeah, people forget that part. The things that happened with Abraham and Sarah and him getting the Egyptian wife and all that stuff happens after the fact. Right. See what I'm saying? He didn't circumcise this dude. So when people look at the story and understand what really took place and what really happened, you have to realize that even the people that were closest to Abraham weren't blessed like he was. Right. He separated himself from all the groups that could be known to being like him. Okay, you're Semitic, but the only group of people, the only family on the earth at that time that committed themselves to circumcision was one family. That was it. Everybody else was uncircumcised. That's how you knew that it was him. That's how you knew that it was his people. Right. That's the difference. I can't put you in a time machine like I can put my mind in one and perceive that this is the first man ever to do this act. It's a very vital act. Paul is telling you that circumcision does not matter. He contended, went to the council over it, about whether or not Gentiles should be circumcised. But they didn't want to tell Gentiles there was no salvation for the Gentiles, so it doesn't matter what they do anyway. As opposed to them saying that, and they should have just said that, as opposed to them saying that, because they say salvation is unto the believer. That's not true. Salvation is unto the true saints, who the Most High God. You are not the author of the book of life. In short, you don't have a place to put anybody in or to take anybody out. That's the facts. You don't have to believe in the book of life. Is that air going through my lungs or oxygen? Does it really matter? Is that a spark or electricity in my heart? Is that my mind or is that my brain? You can say whatever you want to say. It doesn't change what is. What is the fact that when people are circumcised, their body's healthier. They have less health issues. The facts, that's not conjecture. That's not me loose lipping talking shit. That's just what the facts are. The facts are that when you do not eat everything that is on this earth, you remove yourself from certain health risks. These are the facts. Imagine how many people ate puffer fish way back in the day, wherever they could be found, before the Bible was ever written, and died from eating it. Think about that. And all the other things that come up out of the water. Think about all the black people who just died from eating shrimp and crab because their bodies couldn't take it. Let alone people who died from just eating regular other fish that come up out the water because they were naturally allergic. Yeah. All the blood mixing made them like that. Yeah. See, because the Most High God is telling people not to eat these things, meaning they're eating these things actively. Yeah. If he has to tell you to not eat a dog, to not eat a cat, to not eat a lizard, to not eat a wombat, nigga, guess what? They's eating that. If God has to tell you to not eat a pelican, niggas was eating whatever they could get their hands on and cook. They was cooking and eating. Do y'all get that part? But look how a pelican eats. Look how some of these animals eat. They're nasty. They eat nasty, filthy creatures, and they don't care. As long as they can put it in their gullet, they'll eat it. Seagulls will eat anything that they can eat. Anything. Rabbit, squirrel, rat, smaller bird, fish, anything. Don't matter to them. The reason you're not supposed to eat them. Wow. A lot of the birds that are named that you're not supposed to eat are predatory birds. Right. They don't just eat little grubs off the earth and eat, vegetation that they can find. They eat other animals specifically and they enjoy doing it. And they eat unclean, filthy animals on top of that. When you go through all the clean animals to eat, all the clean things to eat, you can't name, you cannot name, none of them are predators. None, unless you were to consider fish and birds predatory because they do eat bugs. Right on. If that makes them predators, then sure, you got me. But in their natural way of like going out of the way to eat other animals that are like them, that have like the breath of life in them, I just don't know. I cannot capitulate that. I just can't, and I won't. So the idea, once again, that the laws are written to where you won't do certain things, and there's another guy telling you it doesn't matter, just do whatever you want to do. And people don't think that this individual is a detriment to their health, to their livelihood, to everything that they stand for. And they want to look at me crazy because I'm telling them this dude's the devil. This nigga will have you in hell. He will have you burning in hell. And then what? What you gonna say to me? Right. There were a healthy number, a plethora of individuals who have said like things in their own ways, in the ways that they understood the Most High God, in the way that I understand Him, in the way, in the understanding that He's given me. Right on. How great, but how little it is that most people do not understand what He is saying to them in the book. They just don't. I get ready to end on this note. The Christ said, "Let not a stranger tend to the flock." Who's the flock? The flock of sheep. Sheep being who? The lost sheep of the house of Israel. So if you're not supposed to let a stranger tend to the flock, that means that anybody who is not a sheep cannot tend to you. They cannot be a shepherd over you. That means that if they're an Egyptian, aka a wolf, or a Philistine, aka a dog, or a Chaldean, aka a lion, or an Assyrian, aka the tiger, or if they're the boar, aka the Edomites, the Idumeans, or if they're a wild ass, aka the Ishmaelites, right? And the list of individuals and different animals that they are, from the fox to the squirrel to the eagle to the osprey, these are the animals that they are mentioned and named as in the book of Enoch. Just be right, right. There are individuals who are not you. A sparrow, a fox, or whatever cannot. You're not supposed to leave them in charge of the flock. A lion's not supposed to be left in charge of the flock. Right. So I will never let my people be led by somebody who is not them. You're not even a damn goat, let alone a ram or a sheep. You're something else. People want to be mad because they think that they know something that they haven't read. If you know more than me, show me where it's at. And it can't be conjectures. Because I could pick up the scripture and read these things to you, but I would rather somebody actively try to challenge what's there, so that way they can find out and see just how much they don't know. And then just to realize the level of patience I have to practice with individuals who don't know, who are trying to tell me something. Once again, you don't go to the doctors. You don't, I don't, listen, you don't go to the doctors asking a patient to tell you what's wrong with you. You just don't. That's backwards. People, what if that patient's a doctor? You sound stupid. That's not what I said. Did I say the patient who's a doctor? Or did I just say a patient? Right. So the tacit understanding is that this patient has no medical expertise. And whatever medical expertise that they have is totally useless, because they're at where you're at. They would not be there if they knew what the hell was going on and they could fix it themselves. The fact that I even have to explain that is incredulous, is ridiculous, and is stupid. However, this is where I'm at. Okay? This is where I'm at. The Christ, Jesus, he told us, right? He said, "Judge not, that ye may not be judged. Condemn not, that ye may not be condemned. Forgive, that thou may be forgiven, or shall be forgiven, but that thou may be forgiven." And I'm paraphrasing, but I said that to say this. If you don't want someone doing anything that you don't think is right, don't do those things. Right on? And if you want somebody to show mercy to you, then be merciful. But if Paul is telling you that you are to be subservient to someone, right? But what if they condemn you through that? More so, they're judging you because they think that they're over you. When all men who live on this earth should understand that you're only a master to the willing. You're not a master. You're not you're not the master over the unwilling. That's not how it works. You're not the master. If they can resist you, you're not the master over them. A true master is not resisted. You can be a god. You can be the most high God and people resist you. So he's not your he can't be your master if you're actively resisting him. Right. Make that right. How can somebody be your master? You're actively resisting them. So I'm saying this to y'all just like this. If it is not in red and it's in the New Testimony, you should seriously consider how serious to take it. And I'm not talking about what's written to make sense, like the bloodline of Joseph and the bloodline of Mary, uh, or whatever else you could conceive like that and perceive like that. I'm saying on the base level issue where it stands, it should be known. It should be something that you actively engage in, but it should be known. There is no God but the Most High God. I love you, my brothers. I love you, my sisters. I love you, my people. May you continue to keep your heads up through these trying times. May you continue to fight the fight that no one else wants to fight. Will you continue and may you continue to keep the faith? May we all continue to do these things. We ask God for strength, dignity, perseverance, long suffering, and a humble spirit, that we may service the earth as a true steward, showing love to those who need the love and chastening those who need to be chastened. May God give you the heart and the spirit of conviction and courage, and to take away all fear from thee, that you would never seem like a coward to anyone, that your courage show in more than one form of taking physical action, but just the way that you carry yourself, the way that you do things. May God continue to bless you. May He continue to uplift you in these trying times. And once again, as the Christ would say, think not I come to abolish the laws or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. Skipping forward, resist ye not evil. If they smite thee on one cheek, turn and give to them the other. Give them everything. Do not resist the evil, brothers and sisters. If it is not written in red, and it's in that New Testament, and it's going against what you know to be the law, or what you know to be righteous, question it. I didn't say you had to abandon it, just question it. Believe what's written. Believe what's written, and you will be let free up here. Believe them. They wrote it. They put it there. They let it be there. It's okay. I didn't say you had to agree with it. Just believe that it's there. Brothers and sisters, I salute you. I salute you once more. And I salute you again. May tomorrow be better than today. And may your next week be better than your last. They would have you to believe anything and everything. But we know that when it's in red, it's indefinite.